A lot of conversation going on right now between people on what's the more popular series, House of the Dragon, or is it Rings of Power? Now, the media, the way that they jump for this Rings of Power show, you would think it's the greatest television series ever made or something. Like it's just so amazing. Well, it's not the case. Amazon's been very, very silent on the ratings for that show since the first week of its release. They've been quiet. They don't say anything. And that's because I don't think they really have anything to celebrate. Now, HBO, on the other hand, has a lot to celebrate because it looks like about 29 million people are tuning in for each episode of that show. It looks like it's a hit. And you can kind of tell it's a hit by the way that the show has a lot of trending topics and hashtags surrounding it every time the show comes out. Where with Rings of Power, there's really just been nothing. No one's really talking about it anymore. It's kind of fallen from where it was. And now we have an actual chart that shows that. There's a reason you're not hearing anything on the numbers for Rings of Power. It's because nobody's watching. No one cares about it. I really do believe that they've had a massive drop in viewership. But there's no way to prove it because we're never going to know. We're never going to know unless Amazon releases those numbers. On this weekly data series powered by Parrot Analytics, we look at the top breakout shows of this week. Breakout shows are the most in-demand series that have premiered in the past 100 days. While demand for HBO's House of the Dragon has risen this week, demand for Amazon's Prime Video's The Rings of Power fell by 13%, according to Parrot Analytics data, which takes into account consumer research, streaming, downloads, and social media, among other engagement. Another week like this, and the Game of Thrones prequel will have twice the demand of The Rings of Power if the trajectories of these two shows remain on this path. It's looking like HBO will have won the much-anticipated face-off without there being much of a fight at all. And that's because House of the Dragon is a better show. Now, to be fair, you can see it's still up here in this outstanding category, but it's not exceptional anymore, and it keeps going down. In fact, She-Hulk has more people talking about it than Rings of Power, and She-Hulk is an awful show. Though, I don't know. I think Rings of Power is probably worse. I haven't even watched She-Hulk. But She-Hulk's got a couple things going for it over Rings of Power. First off, it's only 22 minutes or however long the episodes are. Rings of Power is an excruciating hour or more every week. It's a tough show. It's a tough show to sit through. So I don't find that unbelievable. Rings of Power really is looking like it's going to be a $1 billion mistake. And when you look at some of the stuff, I'm going to come back to this, but there was a report a long time ago that Amazon Prime was going to make a Conan the Barbarian TV series, which would be awesome if it's done right. Problem is, Conan himself, he's a strong brute that takes what he wants, a strong masculine man who takes what he wants, pretty much beds women, and then throws them to the side. You can't have a man do that. If anything, a woman sleeps with him and throws him to the side. That's not the kind of television you're allowed to show anymore. Unless, of course, you're paying the woman. Then you could do that. But instead of, throwing her to the side, you pay her at the end. That's seen as more dignified, I guess. This is why they're allowed to show orgies in House of the Dragon. But, for real, though, that's the first time I think I've seen sex scenes like that in television in a long time, as when House of the Dragon had, they go into the hoe house. But anyway, you can't have a show like Conan the Barbarian. This was broken down by Midnight's Edge quite a bit a long time ago, and I guess they did it again recently to kind of catch up with Rings of Power. It is a good conversation to have about Rings of Power because they can't make a show like this. This is one of the problems with Rings of Power. This is why Galadriel's front and center, by the way, because you can't have a male hero like this anymore. It's not allowed. So what did Amazon Prime do? They canceled it. Can't have this. So they got rid of this. And I know Conan and Lord of the Rings don't have a lot to do with each other, but it is the point that they're not going to tell Conan the Barbarian story. Why do you think they would tell a really good Lord of the Rings story? But listen to this. Holding on to the top spot again, House of the Dragon widened its lead over rival shows on this week's ranking of breakout shows. Last week, it looked like the early hype around the series may have been subsiding, but the 13% growth in demand for the show this week put it comfortably ahead of other premieres, with 55.4 times the average series demand. Demand for Disney's She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, also fell, but only by 6%, ensuring that the relative ranking of the top 3 shows remained unchanged. In yesterday's video I talked about this. Usually shows lose people. House of the Dragon is gaining people every week. It shows you that people are really into it, enjoying it, and they're coming back for more. Word of mouth is positive because people are talking about the show and saying, yo, you got to watch this. It's amazing. Nobody's doing that with She-Hulk. Nobody's doing that with Rings of Power. Amazing, though, She-Hulk, people are watching it. I'm amazed that people find entertainment in this shit anymore. But yeah, this is crazy stuff. Speaking of Rings of Power, by the way, do you remember when they first started hyping this show hard over the summer and they had those influencers come out and they were like super Tolkien fans? They were like these are the biggest Tolkien fans, and all they talked about was diversity and stuff like that. This is the guy that said, I wonder if Sauron's hot. Maybe I could fix him. Well, he hasn't even watched the show yet. Over on his Instagram, he says that he's going to binge the show. Plans on binging the show when it's finished. Can't get enough of House of Dragon, though. He can't get enough of House of the Dragon. He's watching that weekly. But Rings of Power, gonna wait to binge it. This person was on the Superfan panel. The one that had a guy peeing in the corner. Amazon forgot to edit out of the thing. This is nuts. They deleted that, by the way, but people, of course, re-uploaded it. If you want to watch what I'm talking about, I highly recommend searching Rings of Power Superfan promo. It'll pop up. You'll see it. But yeah, House of the Dragon continues to dominate. I'm still impressed with the show because after that Game of Thrones disaster, it's crazy that this show has bounced back. But it just shows you what good writing can do. Rings of Power shows you what bad writing can do. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.